This is the Almost Timely newsletter for the week of April 23rd, 2023. A content disclosure, 100% of this newsletter was written by me, the human, with no contribution from AI. If there ever is a contribution generated by AI, it will be prominently disclosed. So what's on my mind this week? The dawn of autonomous AI. This past week was another wild one, this time with the dawn of autonomous AI. Well, that's not strictly true. We've had autonomous AI for a while, but not specifically with large language models and not in ways that are easily accessible. Let's talk about what this stuff is, what it means, and what you and I should be doing about it. First, what is autonomous AI? Autonomous AI is AI that does stuff itself, right? We give it some general directions and then it goes and does those things. Probably the most well-known type of autonomous AI is the self-driving car. You put in a destination and the car drives itself, figuring out how to get from where you are to where you want to go. Along the way, it drives, it navigates, and communicates how the trip is going, dealing with traffic, pedestrians, all that stuff. We've seen plenty of demos about how this sort of technology works, and for the most part, it does work about as well as a human driver, perhaps slightly better. I mean, at least the AI driver isn't staring at its phone while changing lanes at 80 miles an hour on the highway. Anyway, we see examples of autonomous AI even within our homes. If you've ever gotten one of those smart robot vacuum cleaners, that's autonomous, right? Given a program schedule and the restrictions you want it to obey, usually programmed by an app that you use, or those little strips of tape that you put on the floor, it does its thing until either the task is done or it's devoured an errant power cable on your floor for the third time this week. That's never happened to me. Anyway, in the context of large language models like the GPT family from OpenAI, Google Palm, Stability AI's new Stable LM, and many others, what does this mean? What does autonomous AI mean? We're used to interacting with these models in a singular fashion, right? Fire up your web browser, open up an instance of ChatGPT, start typing your prompt, and it does what you direct it to do, assuming it's in compliance with the terms of service, etc. That's a single instance of the model within the interface, and for many tasks, that's good enough, right? You've written limericks and stuff with this tool. Suppose you were able to start 2 instances of ChatGPT. Suppose one instance could hear what the other instance was saying and respond appropriately to it. You'd sign into one instance and tell it to start writing a blog post. You'd sign into the other instance and tell it to correct the blog post for grammatical correctness or factual correctness or some other important condition that you want in the writing. And both instances would start almost competing with each other, working with and against each other's output to create an overall better outcome. That's the essence of autonomous AI within the context of large language models. There are multiple instances of a model working together, sometimes adversarially, sometimes collaboratively, in ways that a single instance of the model can't do. If you consider a team of human content creators within an organization, you might have writers and editors, producers, proofreaders, publishers, etc. Autonomous AI would start up an instance of the language model for each of these roles and have them perform those roles. And as you would expect in a human organization, some tasks are collaborative and some are adversarial. An editor might review some writing and send the copy back with a bunch of red ink all over the page, right? A producer might tell the editor, hey, you need to change this tone or exclude negative mentions about this brand or personality. So, why would someone want to do this? Why would someone want to set up an autonomous AI system? Well, it turns out there are plenty of tasks, complex tasks, that require more than a single prompt or even a series of prompts. They require substantial interaction back and forth to work out key points, to deal with roadblocks, to collaborate and create greater outputs than they could individually. These tasks that we're asking autonomous AI to do are the same ones that people often work together on to create better outputs than they could individually. I might have an idea I want to write about, but I know that for a significant number of the ideas I have at work, my ideas get better when I discuss them with Katie or John, my coworkers. Sometimes Katie and John behave in a collaborative way, asking what-if questions, helping me expand on my ideas. Sometimes they behave in an adversarial way, asking so-what questions, making sure I've taken into account multiple points of view and considerations. That's what an autonomous AI does. It plays these roles against itself and with itself, working as a team within a computational environment. It's like an AI office where the individual office workers are AI instances. What does this look like as an example? Here's a setup I devised in AutoGPT, one of the most popular versions of this technology. AutoGPT asks for an overall purpose and 5 goals to accomplish. So here's what I told her to do. You're a nonfiction author. You write books about marketing with all the keywords and stuff. You will write the outline for a book about marketing mix modeling using lasso regression. You will write in the style and voice of marketing author and expert Christopher S. Penn. The book you write will be a total of 60,000 words about marketing mix modeling. You'll write 20 chapters of 3,000 words apiece. You will write about why marketing mix modeling is important, what marketing mix modeling is with examples, and how to implement marketing mix modeling in the R programming language with plenty of examples. You will review your writing to ensure the book is 60,000 words or more, grammatically correct, coherent, and appropriate for business book readers. You will ensure that you have correctly captured the writing style of marketing expert Christopher S. Penn. You will export your work in Markdown format, one Markdown file for each chapter of the book. The book's author is Christopher Penn. The year of publication is 2023. The publisher is TrustInsights.ai. The book is published in the United States of America. Those are my directions. Once I got the software installed on my laptop, configured and ready for use, I started up the engine and put in my goals, right? And what you see immediately is it starts working at the structure of what it needs to accomplish. It knows it needs to extract data about what marketing mix modeling is, what my writing style is, and outline the book. About 20 minutes later, after I issued these commands, it was cranking away, right? It was working on chapter 9, spitting out text, refining it, and assembling it. These are the first passes through, just getting together the text. Now, it hasn't started checking out its work to make sure each chapter is the correct length. So far, it's not, or that's coherent and matches my writing style. But you can see just from these examples, from this process, that it's going to do what I directed it to do in a very efficient way. This is what autonomous AI looks like. Now, let's be clear. This is not sentience. This is not self-awareness. The machine is not alive in any way, shape, or form. It still needed me to declare what it was supposed to be doing. It has no agency of its own without that initial direction, someone to kick off the process. So banish any thoughts you have about Terminators and Skynet. And there's all sorts of folks right now talking about this as the start of artificial general intelligence, of truly artificial intelligent life. It's not. It's not. This is no more alive than a self-driving car, right? Your cat has more agency than this, more free will. This is not the threat that this technology poses, right? It's not going to turn into Skynet. But it does pose some threats. What threats does it pose? A few. Number one, as you can see from the example, this dramatically increases the complexity of tasks that large language models can tackle in a relatively straightforward way. Up until now, large language models struggled to deal with very large forms of text like novels and books. They don't generate those well in a singular fashion. Many of them can't generate it at all. This can do so, dealing with far more complex problems and tasks. Second, this technology exacerbates the issues with copyright. At one point, AutoGPT opened up a web browser on its own and started surfing my website to get a sense of my tone and voice. That's okay. It's my website. Obviously, I gave it permission to do so. Suppose I had suggested someone else's voice instead. That's problematic. And there's no ethical checksums, no checks and balances in the technology to say, hey, maybe don't do that. This tool is truly agnostic, truly amoral. It has no concept of right or wrong, which means that the morality has to come from us. And that brings us to the third problem, and the biggest problem. This tool has no morals, good or bad. It only understands the tasks you give it, and it works to achieve those tasks in a really efficient manner. It writes its own code. It writes its own software to do these tasks. Morality is in the eye of the beholder. It's in our hands as the users of the software. Suppose I wanted the tool to generate some propaganda. Would it do that? Yes, unquestionably. Suppose I wanted the tool to scrape some data from LinkedIn. Would it do that? Yes, it would. Suppose I wanted the tool to find a working login to a secured website. Would it do that? Yes, it would. Without going into any details, I asked it to try and break into my website, right? And it went about trying to figure that out. Now, did it succeed? Not at the time I tried it, which was 5 days ago, but in the last 5 days, the ecosystem around the tool has introduced dozens of plugins that make the tool more capable, like different kinds of web browsing, connection to services and APIs, all sorts of capabilities. It is a very small stretch of the imagination to envision tasks that autonomous AI could undertake that you and I might not want it to. Right? People who work in cybersecurity should be very, very concerned about this and watching these tools like a hawk. They should be red teaming with these tools today to understand what their capabilities are and are not. The output right now, the quality of tools out of AutoGPT kind of stinks at the moment, right? The text it's created, it's coherent, it's boring, and the process is janky as hell. It is not ready for prime time. You're not going to be out of a job as a novelist tomorrow. Just like GPT-2 wasn't ready for prime time 3 years ago. And today, GPT-4 and similarly sized models are ready for prime time. They're in production, they're in the world, and they're working really, really well at a large number of tasks. Autonomous AI is just getting started. So to dismiss its shoddy output today and assume it will not evolve is just short-sighted. Whether or not we wanted this technology, it now exists and it's available in the world. So what should we do about it? At a personal or organizational level, we need to be doing rigorous audits of the kinds of work we want performed to see what other tasks AI could take on. This shows you how fast things are moving and how badly I make predictions. I thought that large language models couldn't easily take on very large content tasks until next year, when you had larger models that could handle more than 30,000 tokens. Instead, someone engineered a system that just uses the current models in a different way, and here we are. I wrote that 4 weeks ago, and that's out of date now. Right? Someone actually asked me on YouTube, what would you change about this video? It was a video from January. I'm like, I'd change everything because it's out of date. In what ways could you use technology like autonomous AI for longer form content like books, keynote addresses, movie scripts, entire publications? Start today doing an audit and then start testing these tools. Start going out and trying them and seeing what they're capable of. You owe that to yourself to do that. If your writing skills are not better than an AI's writing skills, now is the time to do one of two things. Either level up your writing skills to get better than an AI, or learn how to operate AI software efficiently. There isn't much middle ground on this. Either you get better or you work with machines that are better. This is going to sound harsh, and I apologize if it comes across as rude, but there is not a place at the table for mediocre to poorly skilled writers in the very near future. There just isn't. Right? The machines are getting better. So either you've got to get better or you've got to get good at the machines. But there is no place at the table for poor writers. At a societal level, we need to solve for some very important issues sooner rather than later. The cybersecurity one, for sure, one thing. But things like universal basic income. As I said, the output of autonomous AI today is meh at best, right? It's not going to stay that way. We are already seeing, with just the tools that are in market today, some publications, Insider.com, announcing more layoffs of writers as generative AI tools are adopted as cost-cutting measures. That's going to accelerate. Something like universal basic income is essential to keeping the economy operational, because if you're reducing the number of employed people by 40 to 60%, which is very possible as these tools advance, you're going to need to provide for them in some fashion, or you're going to have the French Revolution all over again. Right? Except this is the time it's the machine saying, let them eat cake. I'm going to close on this for this section of the newsletter. Of all the AI technologies I've seen demonstrated in the last year, autonomous AI is it's the first one that legitimately unsettles me. Watching it, watching the tool running on my laptop, right? It's cranking away right now. Seeing how it thinks and reasons, it is unnerving. It is not alive. Right? It is not alive. but it is unnerving at how competent it is and how it thinks about solving these problems. As its quality improves, as it can tackle more complex tasks and more nuanced tasks, I think it poses as many dangers as it does benefits. Maybe more, right? Think about the security implications, the disinformation implications, the ways that less ethical and less moral people could use a tool that does what you tell it to do. Right? I think it poses a lot of dangers. You owe it to yourself to get smart about it and watch it carefully as it evolves to see what the big picture implications are sooner rather than later. I know I am. All right, what else is happening in the news this week? Let's look at what was happening. Besides, of course, the Google Analytics stuff I keep mentioning. This week, I was in San Francisco, so Katie and John did the live stream for Trust Insights this week and did a fantastic job, a bake-off of generative AI tools, especially in the context of podcasting and video. So go watch that. It's funny, it is illuminating, it is appropriate for every skill level, and you'll learn some stuff. Go check that out. Also had a piece on, as a follow-up from the Agora Pulse, a great debate this week on is organic social media a marketing channel? I answered that question. Spoiler, no, it's not. Plus some other stuff. Now let's see what we got in the news, in the jobs that are hiring this week. Data analyst at Vivsoft, digital analytics specialist at Paramount Pictures, junior digital analytics architect at MediaMonks, marketing applications analyst at Electrolux, senior data analyst at HighPages, senior digital analytics implementation engineer at Virgin Media, that's a mouthful, senior SEO specialist at OpenMoves, supervisory IT specialist at the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and web analyst at Caliber. So some really cool stuff happening there. Google Analytics got less than 70 days till July 1 when it shuts off Universal Analytics, the former version that most everybody uses. And you have to switch to Google Analytics 4. There's a link to the course that I offer through Trust Insights in the newsletter. Go take the course. Get up to speed. Get going with it. You don't have much time. And the sooner you do it, the sooner you have year-over-year data next year. In other news, let's see. TikTok is turning to gaming's discovery engine. No surprise there. Microsoft is dropping Twitter from its ad platform. Gee, I can't imagine why, because it's turned into a flaming dumpster. Hey, content strategies used by a successful furniture brand, Google doing a cookie-free experiment and changing its helpful content guidance, adding page experience and a lot more stuff, so check that out. ChatGPT copyright rules are being asked for by German content creators, so if there's going to be a bulwark against a lot of these generative tools, it's actually going to be in Europe. Europe is going to probably be leading the way on things like maintaining copyright and stuff, so keep an eye on what they've got going on over there. Content marketing ROI statistics, some cool stuff happening with IBM in the water technology space. And then fun stuff, we got a credit crunch coming, which that's not fun. 15 uses of onion skins that I didn't know. Didn't know you could use it as a dye. And my favorite marketing automation platform, Mautic, is becoming an independent project, which is very, very cool. It always bodes well for open source projects. Upcoming events. And in just a few weeks, I'll be at B2B Ignite in Chicago, ISBM back in Chicago in September, Content Marketing World in September in DC, and Marketing Profs B2B Forum here in Boston in October. So got lots of fun stuff coming up. Hopefully we'll see you at one or more of these shows. That is the newsletter for this week. Thank you for tuning in. Would love to hear your thoughts, particularly on autonomous AI. Pop by the Slack group, hit reply on the newsletter, leave a comment in the comments. Whatever floats your boat. But there's a lot happening right now, and not all of it's good, and not everyone is thinking through the consequences. More so than ever, just kind of rushing to do stuff and not asking that most important question, hey, what could go wrong? So, thank you for tuning in. I'll talk to you next time. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button.